Hey everyone, and welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. And now is the time for that event that I mentioned in the previous episode. Once we progress through this hallway, something interesting is going to happen. But we're only going to go in with Senashira, and we're going to leave the rest of our party back here.
It will be done. Here, mousy, mousy, the hunt draws to a close, here and now.
So here's Bodhi again. I expected you to come. You'd be a fool to let me reach Irenicus.
I know I'm early, but just couldn't bear to see you leave. You were amusing, but the game is over. One last time, let our paths cross in blood.
So seeing Bodhi here, especially when we are so close to escaping this maze, evokes a rage in Senashira that she has not experienced before. And now as the description says, anger overwhelms you, and you feel your control slipping as the evil beckons to you. You become the Slayer. And we have indeed lost control over Senashira, who is going to go straight for Bodhi.
You will fall. A creature of pure death and darkest shadow. Child of Bhaal, what have you become? Away! Irenicus must know of this. We will observe from a distance.
So now they all escape. And we're going to kind of regain control over Senashira even in this form here. But this works kind of like Berserk, that she is going to attack anyone that's close to her, and we're going to lose control over her. So that's why I left my party members down there, because it would include them as targets if they were close. But this state is going to pass soon. But of course this is a very significant moment in the story. Your blood cools, and mind and body are reunited under your control. Your will had faltered, and the essence of Bhaal was there to take advantage. The void where your soul once was overflowed with murderous fury, the mark of a deity that no longer exists. It was mindless and horrible to behold. The taint of Bhaal has affected you differently than Imoen, reacting with your strength of will. You will eventually lose yourself unless your stolen soul is restored. A fate, as they say, worse than death, and one that has not gone unnoticed by your comrades, especially Imoen. Are you all right? I've never seen anything like that. Senashira, that was the Slayer. It's one of the avatar forms of Bhaal. You became the Slayer? I couldn't help it. It just happened. What could have caused that? I don't know, but I've read descriptions of the Slayer before. It appeared when the time of troubles forced the gods to walk the land. Senashira, I've got to get our souls back from Bodhi and Irenicus. You've been left empty, and it's affecting you differently than me. So yeah, very significant event in the story. And this is not the last we'll see the Slayer, but now let's get back to the dungeon. So here we have this big Minotaur statue that is missing its horns, and we have one of them, but we need the second as well. And here in this whole corridor, and especially this chamber, there's a couple of Minotaurs and also a Gauth, but I think with the SCS awareness, it's usually the case that this Gauth has a habit of being right behind these doors. So we're going to approach with Senashira and our summons here. And Senashira is as protected as she basically can be, especially when we get the mirror images online, because she still has her chaotic commands against the charm eye stalk of the Gauth. Then she has the ring of free action against its slow and hold powers. And against its damage, well, we're going to be relying on our mirror images here. Unfortunately, our oh, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, the Gauth is right there. I was about to say that our haste ran out, but it doesn't matter on Senashira, now that she has the ring of free action equipped anyway. So the skeleton warrior is doing most of the work. Alright, but yeah, Senashira had a nice critical hit there. But yeah, now we can have the rest of our party join in on the fight, and let's actually pull some more of these Minotaurs here and have a nice fight. I think let's just go in there. If we don't get stuck in a traffic jam so much.
What? Very well. I shall go for.
I'm very well. Yes. It is. Yes. Yes. Certainly.
Alright, so here we get a couple of more tokens, a chain lightning scroll, and some good bullets.
What is it?
And the second horn and the last couple of tokens on this level are located
I'm listening.
in the last room here.
Yes?
It's not going to be a very spectacular fight, just a couple of more minotaurs. Actually, let's get this ring off before we waste another haste at some point.
What is it? Speak, it will be done.
Oh, I'll show you a fight.
Yes, I see.
Oh, yes?
Oh, they're getting through to Senashira, despite her having all of these
Certainly.
mirror images active. Lucky bastards. Right, so here we have the other horn, and here we have all of our 21 tokens from this level, and some nice acid arrows as well. And a limited wish scroll. Alright, so here we can now install these horns, I guess, onto that statue. And but before we leave the level, we're going to, of course, visit that token machine.
I require rest.
Yeah, so this opens the door, we get some nice experience for it. And I think I'm going to get Imoen, because she has that one identify scroll, not scroll, that one identify spell memorized on her, and I think that might be useful here. So here's the machine. I'm going to quick save first, just to show you an option that I'm not going to go with. But yeah, apparently this is a bizarre contraption with some kind of a message. Master, thy boots are well recombobulated. I have destinkified the souls. It was a rapturous experience to lend mine hand to the task. But anyway, the machine will dispense quality footwear upon the placement of mithril tokens within the slot. Not only the footwear, actually, because here, as you can see, we have 4 options. The 20 token one, which is the one I'm not going to go with, I just want to showcase, because this is a unique piece of armor. It's not very special. I think Imon got it. But still, it's the Jester's Chain, a +4 enchanted chainmail with an armor class of 1, but nothing else special about it. So we're not going to go with this option.
It will be done.
We're going to get, or go with the 15 tokens and the 5 tokens then to spend the rest. But this is the most important piece of loot. Here we get another pair of Boots of Speed. So really cool that we have access to Boots of Speed again. And of course, once we regain our lost equipment, we are going to have our old pair as well. So we're going to be able to have 2 party members with Boots of Speed active. And now we can also spend the remaining tokens on the 5 token pair of boots. The ones you get for 10 tokens are the Boots of Grounding, the ones that give you 50% electrical resistance. And these ones for 5 are going to be the Boots of the North that give us 50% cold resistance. And we don't need that one spare token.
Yes?
So nothing really that special when it comes to that machine. Of course, the one thing that matters are the Boots of Speed, and the other items are not really worth mentioning too much. But anyway, I'm actually going to give the Boots of Speed to Kirinai here. Not going to give them to Senashira, because we are going to rest now. And this is going to require some serious rearrangement of our spells. But then also after resting, another event is going to happen. But anyway, here we're going to go back to our standard selection, now that we don't need protection from petrification. Here we can get a secret word. We don't need that phantom blade anymore. We can get some more spell immunities, and I like having 1 breach on Senashira. This is fine, and I think we're going to set up a new spell sequencer. On Jaheira, we might get maybe 1 slow poison, although it doesn't really matter all that much what she has here on level 2. You know, now that we have lost our ball spawn power of slow poison, might be cool to have a little bit more on Jaheira, but it's not like we ever really have like real use for it. We have antidotes, we have elixirs of health, and we have that, well, once we get our equipment back, we also have that amulet that can cure poison. But anyway, also Anaman leveled up earlier, so he has some bonus slots. We're not going to need that spiritual hammer. I think we might get 1 silence now on him. It might be worth it to have a silence spell coming from him, having another source of that kind of spell, of course, having in mind that our sword Namara, once we get our equipment back, of course can cast a party-friendly silence, but still, might be useful. Here I'm going to go with another Dispel magic, especially since Anomen's Dispel magics are going to be quite potent now that he's level 18. It's quite a high level when it comes to the different opponents that we meet in the game. So his Dispels should be quite effective. Here we can get rid of our negative plane protection, get some more holy powers, and I think I'm going to get a third Death Ward. Here, having a certain upcoming fight in mind, I think I'm going to give him True Seeing at level 5. Some more blades, and this is fine. Alright, now on Imoen, she still has quite a limited selection of spells, but we can optimize it. I guess we can keep the one Chromatic Orb. Right, more mirror images, one web, one acid arrow should be fine. Here, I think I'm going to maybe even have 2 hastes on Imoen now, since her remove magic is going to be the worst, because out of our all remove magics, because she is the lowest level mage, she can have 1 still, and I think I'm going to still go for some damage spells on her, but having hastes on her is going to free up some level 3 slots on Edwin. Here I guess we can have 2 stone skins on all of our spellcasters. Yeah, here I'm going to go with a Breach and another Chaos, which is going to change Edwin's spells now that we have Imoen active here. And I don't think I'm going to use Mislead. We know how powerful it is. So let's just go with like 2 Chain Lightnings here. And finally on Edwin, I can just fill in some of his empty slots now. I'm going to keep 1 Strength spell here. But other than that, this can be changed. We don't need haste. We can get another remove magic, another slow, I think, and also another flame arrow. Now that Edwin is very close to level 15, his flame arrows are going to become quite potent now. At level 15, he's going to be able to unleash 3 of these fire arrows, and keeping, with the conjuration themes, since he is a conjurer, let him have a couple of these flame arrows. Alright, here we can get Secret Word and maybe Emotion Hopelessness as kind of a generalist spell. I am going to leave him 1 Cloud Kill in preparation for a certain fight, and we can maybe give him something like this. At level 6 I'm going to go for the power word Silence. I think it's going to be quite useful in an upcoming fight, and here we're going to scale down on our project images and go for power word Stun. Also with a certain plan for an upcoming encounter. Alright, and I think this is fine. So now we can rest. And again, something interesting happens. You wake suddenly, a pounding in your ears. A shock of pain passes through your body, and you feel your mind slipping away, forced aside by the darkness within. Your distress wakes your companions, but they can only watch as your pain grows more intense. Alright, so Senashira goes for Jaheira, so let's give the boots to Jaheira, and we have to run now. So once again, Senashira turns into the Slayer, and this is yet another indication of kind of what she is going through now that she has been stripped of her soul, or at least a large part of her soul. It's that much harder battling that taint of Bhaal that is always ready to take over in intense situations, especially like the ones with Bodhi, in kind of like an intense emotional fight, I guess. That taint lurks nearby always, and it's going to be more difficult now to fight against it.
Yes?
The madness fades and the essence within retreats, but if this continues you will lose not only yourself, but also everything you hold dear. The uncertainty of your condition has obviously worried those you travel with. The quest is treacherous enough without having to worry about what you might do. So yeah, complicating things. Right now, Senashira can get her boots. And I think this is fine. And we can progress. Now there's going to be quite an interesting section of events, kind of a sequence of tests. And here we're in a chamber where some of these goblin and kobold commandos are only reachable by ranged
What do you want?
ranged weapons, but some of them
Without hesitation.
can be
This will not take long.
killed with melee weapons. And here we have 3 containers that spawn with some very minor random treasure, but of course I gotta see what they contain.
Point the sword, and I shall
And I think,
strike.
you know, of course with quick loot, you could technically loot these guys on the pillars, but I'm not going to do it. But I think this kobold commando here should have a little bit more of our fire arrows.
If it must be done.
And I'm going to try to kill him first, because once we dispose of all of the enemies here, a certain dude will appear. Right, we can start attacking these guys already.
It will
And
be
just,
done.
yeah. 2 more arrows of fire, you know, gotta be frugal with those. Only got 9 of them. And there's going to be some trolls to fight.
Very well.
Right, so here an apparition shows up. Here begins the tests of madness, of sanity, and clarity. Presented with nonsense, how will you proceed? You wish to test me? But this place is derelict. The directors are dead. The procedures laid down proceed regardless of time or circumstance. Such is the nature of this place. Protests are futile. This area works on its own, allowing the directors to watch in safety. You are here, and there is no other way out. Comply or die. You are sane enough to understand that. Now, when madness beckoned, how did you answer? Now comes the judgment, when we decide your fitness for life outside. And here we have a couple of different responses, and generally when it comes to this sequence of tests, depending on how you respond to the apparition, and how well you answer the riddles that you're going to be presented, there's actually quite a wide variety of different rooms that you can get teleported in. Because I think I might like play this again after recording the episode and showcase screenshots of some other rooms that we're not going to see, because we are going to go through this whole sequence kind of the best way, you know, not being like pointlessly defiant to this apparition, and, you know, uncooperative. And we're also going to answer all of the riddles correctly, but you know, if you depending on your attitude and on your answers when it comes to the riddles, you know, there's actually quite a few different rooms that you can visit, and going through it the best way basically allows us to get some items that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise. I think the experience amount in general kind of balances itself out, because when you answer wrong to the riddles, or you are uncooperative to the apparition, you get transported to rooms with like tougher opponents that get that give a little bit more experience. But then at the end, when the judgment comes, the personalized experience that you get is lower. So I think when it comes to the experience, going the best way might still yield a little bit more. Or, you know, it might be more or less balanced between the different options, but it's more about, like, I guess, the satisfaction of doing it all correctly and getting a few items that are unique to that best path. Alright, so I will not resist if it speeds the process. So here he teleports us to a room, but I think he shows up very, very quickly, before you can even kill this spore colony. So let's just loot these. These are just spawn very minor treasures. This one has nothing even. And he shows up anyway, even though we didn't kill this spore colony yet. But anyway, he has a riddle. It was in the wood that I got it, so I sat me down to seek it. I could not find it no matter how hard I looked, and so I took it home with me. What is it? And that's a splinter. Clarity! You see through a muttering to pull the single piece of intelligence within. A sign of sanity? Or of understanding madness? More questions amidst the secret places. Yeah, we didn't manage to kill the opponents. So here is a really cool room with some more apparitions. And on the table we can get a cloak of reflection that grants us full electrical resistance and also reflects all electrical damage back to the source. So it has some use here and there, but it's not a big deal. But in general, now in order to progress we have to talk with these apparitions, and as always feel free to pause and read in detail, because this is in general a really cool part of the game when you immerse yourself in it, and a lot of the lines from the apparitions are well written and just, you know, cool to go through. but there's quite a few of them, so I'm not going to read all of them. And they are going to present us with 4 riddles, 1 riddle per apparition, and depending on how you answer them, like I said, you know, you get transported to different rooms, but it even like depends on like which riddle you fail answering, or if you answer, you know, all of them correctly, like we're going to get to fight some trolls. But yeah, there's quite a few different rooms that you might not have seen if we went through the game and just, you know, answered the riddles correctly. So the first one: it is better than the best of things and worse than the worst of things. You love it more than life, you fear it more than death. The rich have need of it, and the poor have it in endless supply. And that's nothing. Giddy I am with the clarity of your perception, but free you are not. Have my fellows questions for this young mad woman? Yeah, so another one. It runs as it will, but never does it walk. There is a mouth to see, but never does it talk. A bed it surely owns, but never does it sleep. Possesses it a head, but not a one that weeps. And that's a river. I make you weak at the worst of all times, but in the end I keep you safe. You'll sweat in my presence even as you grow cold. I dwell with the weak, rarely the brave, but without me who could tell the difference? And that's fear, but I would argue that bravery and courage doesn't have really much to do with the absence of fear, but rather, you know, the act of conquering it. But anyway, that's the correct answer. Also, if you're uncooperative to the apparition and you fail answering the riddles and stuff, near the end the apparition is going to like question the point of all of these tests, and it's really cool. Even if you know, quote unquote, like fail at this section, answering wrong and whatnot, you still get some cool outcomes. And in general, this is like a really cool section of the game. Like I said, if you want to immerse yourself in it and read everything, this is pretty cool written. It brings back the lost as though never gone, shines laughter or tears with light long since shown, a moment to make, a lifetime to shed, valued when, but lost when you're dead. And that's memory. Your thoughts are clear and flowing, and free you are from here, onward to places secret and rewarding. And we leave this festive place. Alright, and now's the time for a little fight with some trolls. And I think we are going to lightly pre-buff. We're going to have stone skins on Senashira. Maybe a little chant, a little bless. Nothing too spectacular here. One of the trolls here is kind of like a cleric mage. It has I think, a couple of mage spells and a couple of cleric spells. And one of them here mentions a sacrifice. Your bloody head will do. And that's kind of a clue. Alright, so this guy, yeah, has bark skin as pre-buff and casts remove magic on Senashira. Let's move her back then. Fortunately, it was not successful, because I wouldn't have liked to lose my stone skins just like that. But anyway, let's get rid of that spellcaster first. Alright, he is down. I think I'm just going to throw a fireball in there once the other guy goes down.
What is it? Will be done.
Ready and willing.
Let Imon have some fun. Right, and here we actually need magic weapons against this spectral troll. Don't go there. Don't be difficult, dude.
Time to move.
Alright, and this one we're just going to finish off with our arrows of fire and see how cooperative he's going to be. Not very cooperative. Dude. Dude! Dude! I think we have to do a quick acid arrow before he gets up. Dang. The saving throws of these trolls, man. Alright, one of them left behind a head that we will be able to use here. First, let's tell the apparition to actually wait a moment. We want to explore this area. And so here we have this altar. This disgusting, kind of like a spider or face hugger beast on it. But anyway, we can put the troll head into it. Yeah, the room rumbles and the head disappears. A gruff voice speaks a word in a guttural language, and an item appears on the altar. And we get a club here. Also, there's this pocket with some minor treasure. And that normally this club is like very, very unspectacular and pretty much useless at this point when you get it, considering that, you know, by that time you most likely have obtained Black Blood and Nasher clubs of that magnitude. But you know, seeing how we have had our all of our equipment taken from us, this is actually not going to be too bad right now. This club, Bone Club, a +2 enchanted club, +3 versus undead. So this is actually going to be quite decent for Jaheira, and now Karenai can get this quarterstaff +3, and she's going to be a little bit more effective with it compared to the spear whenever she needs a magical weapon or a melee weapon in general. And now we can move on to Judgment. Steel yourself. We go. And now comes Judgment. Have your thoughts been focused by your ordeal? Have you gained clarity? Who can say? It has been quite some time since the process has been refined. Really, I do not think you were intended to survive. But I will fulfill my purpose as best I can and use your own words to judge your fate. Your will is satisfactory. You have passed what tests I had to offer. This session is now done. You are free. And if you're not judged sane enough, he's actually going to summon a Mind Flayer, and only after you defeat it, he's going to let you go. And now we get 51,000 of personalized experience, which is quite a lot. And if your score, I guess, when it comes to the tests, is lower, you get like 41, I think, thousand. But like I said, you kind of battle some tougher monsters along the way, so kind of balances itself out a little bit. But it's mostly about that Cloak of Reflection and the club, and you know, just a different set of rooms. And here we can level up Karenai. Now she's going to be level 19, and I think I'm going to go one more level in stealth. I've been meaning to start pumping up traps, but I'm not a big fan of traps anyway. Well, you know, depending on how you use traps, they can be very, very cheesy when you place traps on like spawn points on different enemies and stuff like that, which we're not really going to use. Maybe like during the final seal in Watcher's Keep, that's not going to be really cheesy because all of the encounters there spawn like that, so our party could like figure that out, I guess. But anyway, my point here is that I think I'm going to go with one more level in stealth because, you know, without items boosting our stealth, it's not that great on Karenai, and we will want to get rid of these stealth boosting items in time, eventually. So I think having like at least 140 without any boosts coming from equipment is going to be actually pretty nice and give us some pretty reliable stealth. And here we're going to be back to Spellhold proper.
Ah, there you are. I see that you've weathered the storms of this place with reasonable pluck and health. It does me good to see you alive.
So here's Saman Favarian again, and considering his previous treachery, we are going to be pretty aggressive to him. I wish only that you heed my words, for they are worth the weight that you can spare. Irenicus pushes ever forward, though I cannot see how I will profit. The blade he gave me is hardly compensation. Better than this place were free for the looting. Well, I don't really care, Saman, about your rewards. I offer advice to foster a trust, and you may determine the value as you wish. It is simple enough for the moment, and will save you in the long run. So make your words count. They will determine your lifespan. Irenicus is a power indeed. I have seen no chips in his armor of spells. You would need an army to face him, and I suggest that there is one to be had. The inmates of this place are a resource to be tapped. Release them, and their anger and frustrations will strike at Irenicus. That is my suggestion, and I leave the workings of it to you. Upstairs, your army awaits. Use it, or you will perish. And it's actually sound advice, and Jaheira, I guess, sees the wisdom in it. Anaman, of course, advises the wrong thing, and even Edwin this time. Because I'll showcase something funny here. Indeed, if you try to confront Irenicus without any support, he's right in the room, as you might recognize, the ritual room, I guess. This is one of the few instances in the game where you just instant die. But a pretty funny thing can happen here if we cast Death Ward on Senashira. I'm going to quick save just to showcase this, because this also gives us a uniquely like voiced line of Irenicus.
Bodhi has disappointed me by letting you live, but the results are the same in the end. You should have fled when you had the chance to do so.
You were a fool to think you could attack me without help. I know you inside and out. I've taken your very soul. I've no use for the rest of you. So he casts a spell that kills everyone instantly, but since we are protected with Death Ward, we actually survive this, and this is going to get him stuck in a loop. He's going to try to, you know, say the same thing and cast the spell again. But anyway, let's quick load now and go through it the intended way, I guess. So here we are back on the floor with the cells, and we're going to be able to loot some stuff here. A potion of insight might come in handy. Here we're also going to get some good ammo, most notably 5 arrows of dispelling, which we are not going to use, but still a very notable projectiles there. And here we get a page from Irenicus's diary. So again, you have to imagine the main villain here, like sitting down with a pen, writing, "Dear Diary." But this is actually pretty cool. This is going to give us some insight about Irenicus himself and his latest, like, accomplishments, I guess. No doubt these texts will prove to be an embarrassing legacy, but I must order my thoughts herein, lest they spill from my accursed mind. Spellhold is in my control. Once recovered from the torpor, I made short work of what defenses they were. So yeah, he mentions Zwanev and also Sol de Nesselar, which is an elven city. My condition grows worse, and what I remember of my home is fleeting. I see images of family whose names I cannot recall, and dream of emotions I no longer feel as vividly. On occasion I sense nature as if she was my mother, as though never removed from her bosom, but such moments are few. I bear the hallmarks of senility with the rage and power of a young elf to lament it. So again he mentions an elf. Bodhi endured the curse much better than I do now, but she was more focused and, more importantly, undead. She is now thoroughly seduced by her vampiric condition, despite its previous failure to counteract the death sentence she was under. She had embraced her mortality, excited by the urgency of it, but now she is confused. Imoen's soul has restored her, but her motives remain transparent, even simplistic. She revels in her carnal nature, even as the elf within despises the creature she has become. So this kind of gives us an idea that Bodhi must have been an elf before she became a vampire. I would pity my sister if I were capable, but emotions come to me only in violent outbursts. Elysim has taken my ability to truly feel, and I am left with the threadbare heart of a human or some other short-lived vermin. I will not suffer this much longer. So again, this is kind of gives us a clue that Irenicus might have been an elf before this curse. And also the name Elysim, if you remember Prism from Baldur's Gate 1, his final project, that sculpture that he made south of Nashkel, was that of Elysim, who apparently captivated him with his beauty so much. And we are going to actually meet her in Baldur's Gate 2. Spellhold has met my needs quite well. They had made a practice of experimenting on inmates here for quite some time, though in a barbaric fashion. I refined their instruments and have finished preparing the necessary rituals. I am quite through with Imoen, though she can still serve as bait. I am certain Senashira will make an appearance sooner or later. Bodhi has delivered more assassins than I had asked for. I disposed of some in advance, but it seems such a waste. I think she has done this on purpose, as she has taken to releasing the extras in the maze below and hunting at her leisure. I marvel at her hunger and how she seems so alive in her undeath. Perhaps it is the soul of Imoen. Soon I shall see for myself. Senashira had best hurry. So of course, you know, this hasn't been really stated so directly, I think, up until now, but of course Imoen's soul was given to Bodhi to counteract that curse that he mentions, and of course Senashira's soul was taken by Irenicus himself. And that's why in the cutscene, when the ritual was performed on Imoen, Irenicus said, "You are ready for her. She will be pleased." Of course mentioning Bodhi being the recipient of Imoen's soul. But yeah, now we have gained some insight, and this is actually works out pretty well time-wise, because when we proceed upstairs here, this is going to trigger another sequence of events, so this is kind of nice to leave it for the next episode. So I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next episode.